So to transition here to our final segment, the story behind the story.
Yes.
We've talked a little bit already about some of your backstory, going from nonfiction into fiction. I want to focus in a little bit more on your Frankie Girl series and even get just into the weeds on that. Maybe talk a little bit about some of what inspired it, but also what's it about? Tell us who Frankie Girl is, and what this story is about. Because I think that is so core to the way that you're communicating this message, forgiveness and redemption. And then what's the story that goes along with that? That's what I'm curious to know.
Right. So did you say we have another hour? That's
Fortunately.
a challenge. Yeah, you missed the joke. I was putting my improv skills into effect, my comedy skills. All right. So Frankie Girl and the backstory. So the first book is Saturday Night at the Trailer. And the title in and of itself sets up for what you might expect to have happen, which is that some bad things happen in the trailer park on Saturday night. Frankie Girl is the middle daughter in the Taylor family, and she is a fierce protector of her family. And she's a fierce protector because everyone else in her family screws everything up eventually and all along the way for intended reasons and sometimes unintended reasons. For example, her older sister, Debbie, had a traumatic birth. She had to be pulled out with a forceps and as a result had some brain delays in her development. So Frankie grew up protecting her older sister. And that sister bond is a strong part of the story because Debbie can't really function fully as an adult, and so she needs to be protected by her younger sister. Frankie Girl came from a memory that I have as a kid. One of the characters in the story is based on my father, and the character in the story is Mr. Baylor, and Mr. Baylor was the school bus driver who picked the kids up at the trailer park on Sunday morning and took them to church. And that's what my dad did. So my dad convinced his church to get a school bus, and every Sunday morning he would go around and pick up kids and take them to church, and I would ride with him sometimes. And he had a heart for bringing kids to church, right? That was where his heart was. And one of the places that we went was the trailer park. And so I was a kid of 10 or 11. And the trailer park was a world completely unknown to me. I grew up on a dairy farm, but the trailer park was this place where I had no idea what happened there, but I just had a sense, even then, that maybe some bad things happened there. And so I had this story that kind of evolved and started maybe, 8 or 10 years ago. My father had passed away before then. He passed away when I was 20. I had this story, but I was not a fiction writer. I was a nonfiction writer. A fiction writer, I don't know how to do that, right? My work isn't that good. I can't write fiction. I mean, I don't even know. Then I thought, I can't even write dialogue. I don't know how to write. You don't write dialogue in nonfiction. You don't have a hero's journey in nonfiction. Quotation marks, right? So I had this story and it kept kind of working itself in me. Just Frankie Girl became a real character for me. She became someone whose story I really wanted to tell. And I also wanted to honor my father's story. And so that was a real goal for me, even though, he had passed. But I wanted the rest of my family to read this story. I'm number 8 out of 10. So I wanted to see if my interpretation of the story was anywhere close to theirs, because I'm also an introvert in a family of extroverts. Number 8, we forgot her at the fair. Right? They did forget me. That's a true story. No, it's really true. Anyway, so that was part of my, the timing for me was I needed to get this story out. So then I started writing this story and I'm not a plotter. I knew what the beginning was. I knew what the end was. I knew where my father's story came in. So when I started writing, that's what I had. I wrote the first 3 chapters and I absolutely fell head over heels in love with Frankie Girl. She is smart. She is fierce. She is resilient. She will go to the mat for her sister Debbie when everybody else would just trash her, right? And she just had this magnetic sense to her that people were drawn to her because of her resilience, but she also had this vulnerability. Like she wasn't perfect and she had some failures too. And she was complicit in some things that happened in the trailer park. And she had her own secrets. And so there were so many family secrets that she didn't even know were secrets in a different generation that then played into this generation. I didn't go in having a theme of family secrets and generational secrets, but it came out really, really strongly. It's a really strong theme. And that's part of, in talking to readers, this whole family secrets thing is a much bigger thing than I realized. A whole dysfunctions of families and how they work them out or not. So I write the first 3 chapters and I'm like, I have a book here. And I love this girl and I love her family and, what they're trying to work out, and they're in poverty. And I don't know if they're going to get out or not, but if they can, Frankie is their only hope. The mother dies, the father goes off the rails. He puts together date night for the sister. He does nefarious things. Then I wrote chapter 17, which is where the character of my father comes in, and he and Frankie girl meet up again when she's an adult, and he becomes a mentor to her. So then I had from chapter 3 to chapter 17 to fill in, and I'm not an outliner. I'm like,
sometimes it's that non-linear writing, though. Right?
Everybody keeps. It's like everybody's throwing this in my face here as
I'll
take it.
Outlining, Jack.
It just goes
pressure, peer pressure.
It just goes to prove you don't have to be an outliner. So what happened was I made a commitment to write this book. I wanted to write it in 3 months, so I wrote every night from 10 to midnight, and I would sit down, and I literally sometimes didn't know who was going to show up. And so I worked my way through it. I have a fabulous, fantastic antagonist who is a weasel, and I just love that guy. And these other characters that just showed up at exactly the right moment and for the right reason, and they did their job. And the changes that Frankie girl went through just, to me, are just amazing. It sounds crazy, but you guys know, you guys are authors. Mm-hmm. You live with your characters and your characters live with you. So we are now at the end of the Frankie Girl series. All 4 were published in 2024. Readers cannot let go of Frankie Girl, and I found out that I can't either. And so I'm doing a series of 4 companion books in 2025. And the companion books are based on each of the 4 main characters, telling their backstory and some of their future story. In the first book, I'm going to do something I've never seen done before. I'm going to include an interview of me, the author, with me, the Frankie Girl character. And we're going to talk about who she is and why she is. And I'm going to explore things with her. And she's going to tell me things I never knew. And so it's going to be great fun.
I like that idea. That's a very creative way to personalize to bring yourself into that world with the character. Is that going to be, because now I have more questions, is that going to be like part of the front matter essentially, or is that going to be like part of the actual narrative of the story? Kay Wagner is a character in that world now. How are you executing that? I'm curious now.
So
we just gave Kay an idea.
That's a really great idea. So I was working through this the other day, because I'm going to include an epilogue. And so the series of the book are Saturday night at the trailer, Saturday night in Paris, Saturday night in Philadelphia, Sunday morning sunrise. So Sunday morning sunrise is like the redemption. It's closed. But the epilogue is going to be called Saturday Night on the Red Carpet. And I can write myself into the red carpet because I always wanted to win an Academy Award, because I wanted to be a filmmaker early on. I thought I was going to be a director. So I could actually write myself in on the red carpet and win a Grammy Award.
There you go.
I love that. Jack, that's brilliant.
There you go. Hey, you're welcome. Hey, I'm good for something every now and then. But
so the thing that really struck me yesterday, and you guys can help me with this. So these companion books are going to be more like the size of a novella. And at first I was going to put Saturday Night on the Red Carpet at the beginning, the epilogue, and then the interview, and then some character studies and some scene studies and some plot reveals and some of the nuances that I know people have missed, just to bring some things out.
Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.